What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony. Today's Friday, so you know what day that is. Well, for you new subscribers, maybe you don't. Friday, we do the Q&A, so all you got to do if you want to be featured in the Q&A, just ask your question in the comments below, and it'll be featured on an upcoming Q&A video. We do this every Friday. It's fun. Some of the questions are cool. Some are funny. Some are just fun. Some are like, all right, but whatever. We're going to have fun with this, all right? So today I'm wearing my Zenith Pilot El Primero, just one of my favorite watches. And Watches and Wonders have been going on this week. And the only thing that's bummed me out is I just haven't been able to see. Normally every year they have the morning show and the evening show, just like a regular TV show, but the morning show and evening show. And they haven't done it this year. And if they have and only just put it out, I haven't seen it because I literally just got home. But it's Friday, and Watches and Wonders started Tuesday. Anyway, it was, but hey, I got videos coming up for Watches and Wonders, and if you also want to, I never promote my Instagram, but if you want to follow me on Instagram, follow me on the same handle, Talking Timepieces with Tony, and maybe doing a video with Cartier Watch Nerd. He's also on Instagram. So follow him too. But we'll talk soon about that, and let's get into the Q&A because we got a lot of questions today.
Talking timepieces with Tony. Talking timepieces with Tony.
All right, so the first question comes from Ristopia 4101. Another question. Okay, so Oshin O'Malley, not sure what you think of him. He did a video about the issues that I raised on YouTubers' bizarre reactions to Rolex's Watches and Wonder releases this year. He pretty much put them in their place, and my question is, do you think there was a bubble built up in larger watch YouTubers' popularity that may have gone alongside the watch market price bubble that they are struggling to prevent bursting and thereby losing revenue? They all seem so desperate these days. All right, man. Oshin O'Malley, yeah, I know who he is, of course. What I think about him or what I don't think about him, I can only watch part of his stuff. Some of his stuff is cool. When he walks down the streets of Venice and all that stuff, that's, I think, why he has so much, popularity. He does know about watches and which is great. He's not that new in the, he hasn't been in the industry that long. He got lucky with everything, but at the same time, I did see a part video where he said for all the Rolex YouTubers or people in YouTubers to shut the fuck up. Do I think, for one, some of us YouTubers that make our predictions, we do it for fun. Like when I do a Rolex prediction, I do it for fun. I seriously don't think they're gonna, come out with a ice blue face presidential OP, you know what I mean? It's not in the cards, it ain't gonna happen, but it's fun to wish, you know what I mean, and do those kind of things. Then you see some YouTubers, and I won't mention their names, but these are the gray market guys that do sell watches and flip, that sit there and go, okay, the GMT, we know that the Pepsi's getting discontinued, so I have one left, and this is your only chance to get one, and they try to put that fear into it. And some of these guys, they make a living at YouTube, man. I wouldn't want to make a living, my sole living, just doing YouTube videos. It's too unstable, but it is the entertainment industry. And I've been in the legit entertainment, this is legit, but legit entertainment industry my whole life. I know what it's like to be, if you're worried or you're stressed or you're doing everything you can to try to keep something from happening. So do I think I think some YouTubers are doing what they can to make it, seem like it's much more of a like, oh my God, than it is. And I'm sorry if I'm not really answering your question properly, dude, but I don't know about the bubble, you know what I mean? The watch market's going to be what the watch market is. Granted, I think some higher up YouTubers or whatever can kind of push the market. They're influencers, man. They can influence the market a little bit, but for the most part, not with Rolex, I don't think. So anyway, yeah, thanks for your question, dude. I appreciate it. Gino816, I always watch till the end. Thanks, dude. You're probably the only one. You may have answered this before, but who do you think makes a better watch, Zenith or Rolex? Who do you think won Watches and Wonders this year, and who lost? Well, do I think makes a better watch, Zenith or Rolex? I think Zenith do. I think Zenith are just more, with Rolex you have the automation and, they are mass produced, but there's nothing wrong with that because Rolex are the king. That's why they're the crown, man. And they make watches. Rolex make the most accurate timepieces, I mean, all of my Rolex are really more accurate than my Zenith. My Zenith, this particular Zenith has just had some issues, you know what I mean? And my other Zenith is like, it runs great, but I think when you're going into the actual heritage and the movements and everything about the brand itself, I think they do make a better watch overall. However, of course, Rolex is, like I said, they're king. Watches and Wonders this year, who won? I don't know. I haven't put that together yet, but I'm gonna just throw out a couple things. I think Cartier just nailed it. I think IWC just killed it. I think Rolex just did what they did. And who lost? Not sure yet. I'm gonna have to, I haven't, I'm still in the middle of Watches and Wonders, you know what I mean? But Gino, thanks for your question, bro. I appreciate it. This is from C. Tizer. Hey Tony, thanks again for taking my question in the Q&A. That was last week. You were welcome, and thank you, man. Yeah, I kind of answered my own question. Okay, so a question, maybe if it's worth putting in another one. What do I think of Sinn watches, and have I owned any? Sinn watches are great, man. Yes, I owned a 104 SA that I wore as my only watch for about a year and a half. It was a beautiful piece. It was reliable. It's a German brand. For those of you who don't know Sinn, they're only available at one outlet in the United States. Online. I can't remember the name of the place, but that's the only authorized place where you can buy a Sinn watch. As far as I know, that's where I had to get mine. And yeah, it was awesome. It had but I believe it had a Sellita SW200 movement in it, but it was really accurate. It was a great watch. It was beautiful. I loved it. Everyday watch. Killer watches, man. Go Bricklaying 106. I'm having some coffee and browsing Omega website. Hope you're having a great day. Yeah, it was okay today, man. I hope you're having a great day. Actually, this whole week sucked, actually, with my back and dealing with doctors and my health provider with the medications and all this stuff. Just even my other medications, not just stuff from my back, pain in the ass. But anyway, I really like the Speedmaster Moonwatch white dial. What are your thoughts on Omega, and do you have any Omega? I'm still learning about mechanical watches. I think they are a piece of art. This channel rocks. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Omega, yes, I've had several Omegas. I don't have any Omegas right now, except for my moon swatches. So I guess I do. I've got 2 moon swatches, and that'll suffice for me right now. Omega make great watches. It's unfortunate that the majority of those Omega fanboys are just haters, you know what I mean? So, I don't know what that's all about. That's kind of puts me off of Omega. It sucks, if I really see an Omega I like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna let the Omega haters, stop me from buying whatever it is I want to buy. But I don't understand that. It's like the difference between, I think I said this once before, Ford versus Chevy. You got a Ford, you suck. No, you got a Chevy, you suck. Kind of shit. You know what I mean? Just a fucking really weird mentality. Watches, it doesn't matter, man, what you have. Whether you got a Swatch, a Herft and Gertie, it doesn't matter, man. And I'm sure there's somewhere in Trollsville that has those Herft and Gertie whatever watches. Yeah, I mean, Omega are cool watches, a cool brand, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm glad you're getting into watches, dude. Keep at it. And buy something nice. Buy what you like. This is from Jimmerman9839. Jim Herman. 9839. Friday Q&A. Not watch related. It appears you have a Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo. Is it the animation you're into, or are you a fan of Danny Elfman and his music? I do have a Nightmare on Elm Street tattoo. Actually, this tattoo is actually really more than one tattoo in a sense. I have a book on all the original artwork for Nightmare Before Christmas, and I pieced together certain things, and I had this tattooed. And it's so old. I'm pretty sure I was the first person to ever get a Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo over 20 years ago. and it's this kind of like hard to answer in a sense. I know it seems easy, but I do love animation. I do love cartoons. I do love Pinky and the Brain Animaniacs and things like that. But I didn't. It's not because I got this tattoo, and it certainly wasn't also because of Danny Elfman. When this movie came out in 1993, I believe it was. I loved the story of the movie, and the story of the movie was really closely related to my life. And instead of just looking at it as sort of the way that the movie was put together, it's basically Jack Skellington, and he's the king of Halloween Town. He's the god, he's the king, and he ventures off and does something different. He tries to take over Christmas Town, and he thinks he's going to be successful at it because he's the king of. He's bored with Halloween Town, and he wants to go and take over Christmas, and he fucks it up, and he fucks everything up. In the end, Santa Claus fixes it, and he goes back to Halloween Town, and he's the king. He's the pumpkin king. And that was like me in my music career. I did certain things, and I wanted to go off and do other things, and realized I was really good at doing this one thing, and I fucked shit up and constantly did that stuff. You know what I mean? So a lot of it, but I do love Danny Elfman, and I do love his music. But as far as as far as Tim Burton goes, I love Tim Burton's stuff too, but I don't like all of his stuff, you know. So it's kind of a combination of a few things, but it was really the story and what that movie meant that meant a lot to me, and not so much just the overall fun aspect of what the movie is. So thanks for your question, dude. I hope that made sense. Josh Fay, 1915. Do you know if Rolex ADs get annoyed if you refer to a model by its nickname? For example, if I asked for a Pepsi or a Batman instead of a red and blue GMT or a black and blue GMT, do you think they'd be less likely to allocate one to me? Thanks. That's another question that's like, it depends, man. You have to read the room, so to speak, when you go in. If you go in there and there's an older salesman that's like very kind of stuffy, how can I help you? And he's not going to want to hear Batman or Pepsi or anything, because Sprite. He don't want to hear about soft drinks, man. This guy is a connoisseur. He wants fucking champagne, dude. He wants to know that you're into a GMT or whatever. So it just depends. Some people, my AD1, man, I walk in there, I'm like, dude, Batman, Batgirl, you know, and I did that from the day I walked into that place. But yeah, some people, it just depends, man, where you're at. And, you know, and again, reading the room, you know, if you start a conversation with your sales rep first, a little bit, talk to him and see where they're at, man. If he brings up, I got a root beer, you know, you're good, you know? So I hope that helped. Thank you for your question. This comes from Grant Spaniel. S. Spaniel. 8069. Anthony Burton was your watch brand. Yes, it was. It was hard to make out the dial in your video. How many models came out? How many models came out of my brand, Anthony Burton? A lot, man. I say a lot. I had, I couldn't tell you the exact amount because I had a lot of prototypes and brands that, or lines that were made that didn't actually come out. But the ones that were actually in stores, I want to say probably I had the Skeleton, California 67, the Grand Cayman, the Triple Calendar, Moon Phase. I probably would say I had overall probably about 20 designs that were with prototypes, and I probably had about less than 10 that were actually in stores for a minute. So anyway, thanks, man. Appreciate it. This question comes from Metagirl. I love the intro demo. Thank you. That was the one I did where I played it live. That was awesome. And Uku was so cute at the start of the video. She's always cute. I love your pics, and I agree with the OP is a super comfortable. Would you ever buy another Omega SMP or a Cartier Santos? I would buy a Santos for sure, but I don't. They've got, with Watches and Wonders too, they got some new models that are coming out that look really cool. They've got the brown dial one, they've got the Demons that look really good. I have to get into a video with all that. So yes, would I buy another Omega SMP? Probably not. Not that I don't like the watch. I do love the watch, and I loved mine. It was great. Just kind of in a different frame of where I'm at with watches these days. And although that was only a couple years ago, so. But thanks, Metagirl, I appreciate it. This one comes from Paul Thompson 9062. Some great timepieces there, Tony. Thank you. I'm sure we're all looking forward to this week's Watches and Wonders. Yes, we are, and we are in the middle of it, or towards the end of it. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So today's day 4. It will happen by the time Friday's Q&A comes along. Still going on, dude. Is there anything from the show that has made you interested? Oh, yes, there is. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate your question. I'm going to do videos on stuff. All right, man. So I'll put all that together. I already mentioned, of course, Cartier and IWC and whatever, so I appreciate it, man. Paul, you're awesome, by the way. I think you're looking for the GMT Tudor, the new one that just came out, on a rubber strap. I think that was your comment. Hope you get it, dude. Jason Zajac 4551. Jason, whatever. Hey, man. I say Jason, whatever. What's happening, dude? I know I'd sent a message going, did you ask me a question like a couple weeks ago? And it's this week. So, Tony, always so much fun watching your videos. Thanks, Jason. I have fun knowing that you're having fun. Fun question for the Q&A. If you could pick one watch per decade that describes your life at the time, what would it be? Starting with the 70s up until now. Holy shit, man. 70s, I was a kid. So I would have to go with a Timex Snoopy because we had those. I think my little sister had mentioned that. We had those. 1980s, definitely Swatch. You know, Swatch watch all the way in the 1980s. That's all I wore in the 80s was Swatch watches. 90s, I was getting into more luxury, like right here, Rolex, Rolex, Cartier. But I also, in the 90s, primarily was still on that, you know, wearing Fossil and Guess watches and Movado, Tag Heuer. It wasn't, yeah, and then mid-90s, I did get a Rolex, I think, and then, you know, from there, yeah, I was kind of graduating from department store watches to luxury, you know what I mean? 2000s, so you're going from early 2000s to, say, 2010. I had Omega, and I had a U-boat, I believe, and I can't really remember. It was a really rough time, early the 2000s. Well, not the early 2000s, sort of upper 2000s sucked. So yeah, and then now, you know what I've got now. So I guess that's where I'm going with that. So thanks, dude. I would be more in depth with it, I think, if I just took a minute to really think harder about it. But I've got this video going on pretty long now. So ask me a question again, and I'll you know, I'm sorry, man. Thank you, Jason, Jason. Paul Green 7483. Question for Friday. Do you have a story about a watch that you were really excited about getting, but when you saw it, held it, it was a no? I mean, an immediate no. Love to know your experience, if you've experienced this. Love your videos and look forward to seeing new content. Yes, I have. I decided not too long ago, maybe a year and a half, maybe a couple years ago, that I wanted to get a Panerai. So I looked at the Panerais, and I know what my taste is, and it's not all that extravagant when it comes to something like a Panerai. I like the Douai, you know, and they had a blue-faced Douai, and whatever. And Bindi at that time were an AD for Panerai. They're no longer an AD for Panerai, and I was stoked. I went down there and I called one the day before. I'm like, "Do you have this watch?" He's like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Hold it." And I went down there and I tried it on, and at the price point for what the watch was, I was like, oh, I mean, I didn't even buckle the buckle. I put it on and I went, no, never mind. Thank you. Let's look at some other watches. Panerai. So, or the Douai. It doesn't mean I wouldn't buy a Panerai though. So, but thanks for your question, man. Casa 1000. Hey, Tony, I'd be interested to hear your views on Panerai. I've been watching your channel for years, but can't remember if you've owned one. I've always steered clear due to the sizing. I like my watches in the 36 to 38 millimeter range. I know the Paneristi will only nod to black sandwich styles, 44 millimeter, etc. But despite this, I'm really tempted to go against the grain, and I've got my eye on a white dial 40 millimeter Luminar, painted markers, just about the cheapest Panerai you can buy. It would be 20 years old and had it for under 3,000. Stick it on a bright orange or blue rubber strap to make the perfect summer holiday watch. Cheers from the UK. Casa 1000. Yeah, dude. Well, you just heard my story. I like Panerai. I do, but it was just that one particular watch that didn't work for me. And then anything over those 40, like you said, the 44 millimeters, man, just... But they're meant to be big, you know. But so I do like them. They're not for me. It doesn't say I won't buy one in the future, because one day they might just go, hey, dude, and they might speak to me. So check it out, dude. Under $3,000, you're good. Okay. This comes from Max912. Within your collection, if you were going to these events, which watch would you wear? A wedding, a casual dinner with friends. I wouldn't think you're saying casual diner. It's a casual. In the States, we have diners. You know. Date night, beach, weekend, knock around, running errands. Man, I can wear any one of my watches at any one of these events, and I wouldn't care. But just to say, okay, a wedding, probably would wear. I would probably wear my Cartier Pasha. Casual dinner with friends. Any one of my Rolex would be fine. Date night, depends what kind of date it is. If it's a first date, like I don't know this chick and I just met her, I'd probably wear a freaking swatch. You know what I mean? Just because that's how I would do it. But a regular date, maybe a Rolex date just, you know, maybe an OP. The beach, I would wear maybe my Zenith or... yeah, probably his Zenith to the beach, you know. Or that's where I'd wear my S&P 500 or S&P 300 if I still had it. But or I could wear my Batgirl. Weekend knock around running errands, man. Any one of my watches, Zenith. So, all right, man. That's all the questions. I really appreciate you guys who ask these questions. It means a lot to me to answer them for you. I know you take the time out of your day to write, you know, to ask your questions. So the least I could do is at least acknowledge you guys, because I appreciate you. Like and subscribe if you want to, and we'll see you on the next one.